Alright, so we're going to be looking at rigging today, again, but hopefully now that we've been animating for a bit, this is going to be a little bit easier to understand. So what we have to do is we need to take this character and we need to attach it to a rig so we can actually animate it. Right now it can't be animated, it's just sitting here as this stuff right here. So there's a couple things I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and attach parts of the mesh that I want to be together just to make my life a little bit easier for rigging. So you can see I'm just attaching the gloves to that arm section. And that'll make our lives a little bit easier. Okay, so there's a couple different ways to rig. You can use the cat tools or you can use the biped. So I'm going to do the cat first and then we'll look at biped. So I'm going to go cat parent, and I would like it to just be a base human. Go ahead and drag it out. Try to kind of line it up a little bit. Okay. So now what we need to do is I actually need to get this figure matched up to him, to his mesh. So all I'm going to do is start kind of moving each piece and get it lined up as close as possible. And then obviously this isn't going to work, so I need to kind of figure out, okay, so there's that. So now it's inside of his body. Is this going to be okay, or is that too big? So I'm going to go ahead and scale down his palm just a bit. Okay. And there's no fingers on there yet. We're going to add the fingers in just a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and make this see-through. So I'm going to go display, and I'm going to check see-through. So now I can see through that, and then I need to check this by and make that see-through as well. And that's right over here on the display tab. So you can see I need all of this stuff to line up correctly. But now I'm trying to click these bones on the inside, and I can't. So I need to, of course, switch my selection tool to just be bones. And that's going to allow me to actually select, well, actually cat bone for this since we're using cat. Okay. So then I'm going to move some stuff up a little bit to try to get some proper weighting. Okay, so that looks okay. Move that back in there, and I may not even use the collarbone, but I am just going to go ahead and get it kind of lined up a little bit. So it's in the middle of his arm. Right there. Okay. So you can see it takes quite a while for setup, and I'm just going to go ahead and keep going and working through it till it's set up correctly. So I want to make sure to have that little bend in the arm, just because it's going to make our lives a little bit easier when it comes to animating, if we have that in there. Just the slight bend. And it's okay if if the bones come outside of the mesh. That's really not a big deal at all. Okay, so I'm going to take these guys and scale them up a little bit. Just so when I do go to weight it, it hopefully will line up nicely. Now, there's a really cool trick to this. So if I select this, collarbone, I can come into my modifiers, and I can copy limb settings, and then select the other collarbone and paste and mirror limb settings. So you can see they just pop right in, and they're exactly like I want them to be. Of course, I should make sure this is 0, 0, which it isn't quite, but now it's fine. Okay. So there you go. So now everything's slightly off just because I didn't 0, 0 it at first. That's alright. Now it's fine, so I'll just go ahead and select that collarbone again, copy limb settings, select the collarbone on the other side, and paste limb settings, and everything will snap back. Okay. Now I can go ahead and go through the rest of his body and hopefully get everything lined up nicely. We're just going to use one bone for the head, which is just, we're just going to go for a fairly simple animation, or a fairly simple range of motion on the head. We're not going to give him a jawbone, which would allow us to open his mouth. But we just kind of want to go over the basics of rigging. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off my selection tool so that way I can make the legs see-through. So I'm going to go ahead and make the legs see-through. Just to make sure I get everything lined up okay. Okay. So you can see the legs actually are okay. They came out pretty accurate actually. Yeah. Not a lot to change there. Okay. I'm going to come back up to the hands, and then now we need to add the bones, or the fingers. So if I select the thumb, or the palm, I can then go ahead and number of digits. We're going to have 5 digits. And it's always going to make them pretty large, and that's just kind of what it does. But it's really easy to fix. So I'm going to select the thumb, and I'm going to say, no, I only want 2 bones, not 3. But this is where we need to remember how to change our scaling and stuff to be local instead of based on the world or the view. So you can see that if I try to scale it right here, it's not scaling straight on the bones. So I'm just going to go ahead and come up here, and I'm going to select local, and then you can see that the axes line up just fine. And then we can go ahead and start, and again see rotation. You have to do this with every single tool. I know. And then what you want to do is try to get it lined up as best you can for, again, I gotta come over here, change it to local, for setting up that thumb movement. And again, don't worry about it sticking out of the hand a little bit, that's really not a big deal. Okay. So I'm going to look at this, and I'm actually going to have to adjust that thumb a little bit. Okay. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to select those, and to move the entire finger, you have to select both bones. Otherwise, you just kind of move like this, which is fine, but I mean, not when you're trying to do a large adjustment. Okay, so I'm just going to select all of these guys, and I'm going to scale them down. Okay, grab these, scale them down a little bit, thin them up a bit so they don't run into the other finger. And then I'm going to move them in place. So there's that finger right there. Same with this. So we've got Scale that down, make it a little thinner. It looks like it's sitting fine. Yeah. Scale it down a little bit. And of course, I don't have it quite rotated right. There we go. Okay. Grab the pinky, scale down the pinky, thin it up a little bit, move it in place. Okay, so that's going to go ahead and give me the finger. Well, hopefully not, because it's just rude. But it is going to give me the finger placement pretty decently. Move that there. Put that there. Okay. Alright, so that's going to be the basic idea behind the arm. Now, the nice thing about Ryu is he's separated into multiple pieces, which is going to allow me to more easily adjust how his bones are attached to him. And you're going to see exactly why that's important in just a second. Okay, so he's ready to go. I can now start combining the mesh to the bones, which is going to allow me to then rig it. So I'm going to select this, which is just the body, and I'm going to say, you know, what do I want the body to be attached to? So I'm going to do a skin modifier, skin, and then I'm going to add what I want. So I really don't need the entire pelvis. Really all I need is the spine. Rib cage, collarbone, good. We don't really need the arms. I'm just going to hold control and select all the way down. Okay, so I don't want to do the arms, so I'm going to hit select. So now, if I select a cat bone, for instance, and I rotate it, you can see his body moves. Well, the gi moves. Okay, so now I need to assign the part that has the skin and the arms. So I'm going to go ahead and do a skin modifier as well. So skin, add bones. So I'll open the human pelvis again, open the spine. I really don't need all the spine. What I do want, however, is the rib cage and all of its children. So I'm going to hit Control C, which then gets me the rib cage. Oh, actually, I don't want the... See, the collarbone has the arms. I want that, but I don't want the neck. So it looks like I have to do this the long way. So I'm going to go, I would like rib cage, collarbone, arm, palm, boom, 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 boom. So I'm just holding control to go through these because I don't want the neck. forgot to mirror the hands over there. Oh. Alright, deleting the skin modifier. Going back to cat bone. Selecting that. Copying. Going back to the other collarbone. Paste and mirror. And you can see the hands jump right on there. Hopefully it's pretty close. Yeah, it looks pretty close to the same. Maybe slightly off. No. No, that's right. Okay. Alright, so now let's try that again. So back to all. Select that part. Apply a skin modifier. Now, there's an easy way to select everything that I want, right? So if I go to human spine, base human spine, base human spine, I want rib cage. If I hit Control C, that's going to select all of the children. However, that's going to get me the neck as well as the head and stuff like that. And it may not worry. We can just paint the weights that we want, which is fine, but we're trying to prevent us from having to paint too much. Now the problem with once you do children, like I can't hold Alt and like deselect that because then it just selects everything. So if I hold Alt to select rib cage again, it's going to always select that human neck. But I get all my fingers in, so I'm just going to go ahead and run with that. And now we can check out how that's going to work. So if I go to cat bone, select the rib cage. Okay. So I've got some movement here. Now, not everything's weighted correctly yet, obviously, but we've got a good start. Okay. So now the headpiece is going to be pretty easy. Select it. Oh. Let me go ahead and combine everything. So we'll attach to this guy. Attach okay. So I don't have the headband on there, so we can attach the headband. We don't have the eyebrows. Whoops. So we can attach the eyebrows. Okay. So now it's all one piece. We don't have these guys because we might add a ponytail just to control those, but let's see how this works first of all. Okay, so with that head selected, I'm going to go ahead and go to skin. Going to add. This one will be nice and easy. Base human neck. Children are still on, so that now selects it. So now if I move this piece, yeah, his head moves. Now we have some paint weight issues, right, happening there on his neck. It's being kind of ripped apart there. But that's fine. I also forgot to add his eyes. So this is going to be a little bit freaky once it starts moving, but that's okay. Okay. I didn't raise the pelvis quite high enough, but we'll see if we get anything super weird. So I'm going to select this piece. Skin. Add bones. That's going to be my left leg. Okay. Select this piece. Skin. Add. This is going to be his right thigh. Select. Okay. Now this piece is going to be interesting. because we kind of want it to be assigned to the pelvis, but we still need it to move with this leg. So we're going to go ahead and skin it and kind of attach both those bones to it. So I'm going to go to skin. I'm going to add one thing I want to make sure is hit Control C to turn off my child mode. I want the pelvis, and then I want the left thigh, and I want the right thigh. Okay. So that's how it's going to be controlling that. Now, real quickly, I'm going to go and attach his eyeballs. Okay, so let's see if that works. Okay. So what I should do is just go ahead and remove the skin weight on this. So I'm going to remove that. I'm going to attach the eyeballs. Okay. So now I'll reskin the head. So I'll select the head. I'll go to skin. Going to go ahead and add bones. So of course we are going to want the I'm actually not going to do the neck because the neck's not in there, so I'm just going to do the head. Select. So now if I select this, what happens? Oh, I forgot the actual eyeball part. Okay. This is now getting ridiculous. Delete the skin, attach, attach, no, no, no. Okay, it looks like the eyeballs were all connected. Okay, so there's that. And of course I still don't have his teeth selected, but what I could do is just delete them. So, because I'm not ever going to open his mouth, so I'm just going to go ahead and go to wireframe, select that, hit delete, they're gone for good. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay, and now I'll go ahead and apply my skin modifier, add my bones, and we're just going to actually just do the head. We'll rotate just to test it. Perfect. Yes, yes. Woo! Okay. So now Ryu is about ready to start animating. Well, not even animating, but to start painting weights. Woo-ja! So now since I'm not in animation mode, you can see that I'm still stretching all my bones and everything, which is really bad. So now we should be ready to animate. So what I'm going to do is select the cat object for parent, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make an animation layer. So it's going to be a motion layer, and then I'm going to choose a predetermined motion just so I can quickly kind of see where my rigging's failing and all of that stuff. So now I will hit play. Okay. So this is going to allow me to see kind of where my polygons have an issue. And it might help if I turn off the see-through stuff, and that'll make your lives a little bit easier. Okay, so so we can see that he's not quite moving right as far as how his vertices are bending and stuff, so I can see I got some bad twisting happening there, as well as right there, it's kind of jutting out. And this is where paint weights come in. Okay, so I'm going to select that guy. And under skin, there's something called envelope. And under envelope, it kind of says what is being controlled by what. So you can see that this bone has full control over these vertices, but it starts losing control right there. So I'm going to select vertex mode to grow that selection. Go ahead and give it a value of 1 just so you can see it snap back together. So you can see the arm kind of comes back together now. But you can also see that I may have done a miscalculation on my where I placed that shoulder, because his arm is kind of ripping through his body at this point. Actually, that's okay. Okay, so now the really hard part is going to come down to his elbow, and how this bone and this bone need to split ownership of this area. We can turn on edged faces, just make my life a little bit easier. Okay. Alright, so where about is the elbow? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab this. Select that. I'm going to see if it's going to let me loop or not. Nope. Nope. Okay. I could actually just change the envelope size. Okay. So what we're trying to do is find a nice balance between full control and partial control of that elbow, so it bends correctly. So you can see it's kind of going to happen right there, but this is going to be a bit tricky for selection. So what I think I might do is just come back over here, and I'm going to turn off the animation layer. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to hit stop, and he's going to go ahead and snap back here. So now I can select this, come back into my envelope, select that bone, and then we can see, you know, that obviously this bone is definitely pulling too much. I'm going to move that envelope by just grabbing the arrow, so you can see that I can control it. Pulling it back in here, pulling this one, I'm going to push this one out a little bit. Just they're fighting for a little bit more control. Give this an effect of 0.5. I'm going to select this bone. Let me give that an effect of 0.5, and let's see what happens there. So I'll come back over here. Turn on my motion layer. Oh, that's much better. So you can see that that's a much better elbow bend just from those slight adjustments. Much, much better. Okay. So that is the basic idea between rigging and weight painting. So I'm going to go ahead and do another full one of these again for class on Tuesday over the biped, because it should take about all of today to finish rigging one character. So that's it, and there'll be another long video on Tuesday as well.